3 candidates will achieve delegates to the national delegation in Cleveland. Ted Cruz is awarded 12 delegates. Donald Trump is awarded 9 delegates. And John Kasich is awarded 2 delegates. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Enjoy the party.
And there you have a shining example of democracy in action.
Exactly, from Lewiston, Maine, which is somewhat inland. It's not
12, 9, and 2. The person who was blanked there was Marco Rubio.
Exactly.
You have to get to a 10% threshold. He did not make it. It was similar to what we saw on Tuesday night in the state of Texas, where you needed a 20% threshold. Also in the state of Alabama, 20%. Rubio failed in both states to get any delegates from this past Tuesday night.
You were just talking to Rubio's spokesperson, and the argument has always been, after Super Tuesday, the Rubio campaign was arguing that once they got away from the South and started moving up north and Midwest, that we were going to see a much more attractive playing field for Marco Rubio. That is not proved to be the case in Maine this evening, where Ted Cruz has triumphed. Joining me are Ed Rollins and Monica Crowley, online opinion editor for the Washington Times and Fox News contributor, of course. Also, Doug Schoen is with us as well, a former advisor to President Bill Clinton and a Fox News contributor, and Joe Trippi back with us as well. So, Monica, let me start with you because we haven't heard from you yet tonight. Your thoughts on what looks to be a really nice night here for Ted Cruz?
Yeah, this is a very positive night for him. The polling heading into Kansas was pretty spotty, almost non-existent. So I don't think anybody had many expectations going into Kansas. But that was a really meaningful win for Senator Cruz. And now you add the Maine victory as well. This means that Ted Cruz has now won 6 caucuses and or primaries, 5 of which have been closed. So Senator Cruz can now go forward and make a very compelling argument that he is the choice of conservative voters. He's the choice of Republican voters because in these closed primaries and caucuses, he does seem to out-organize the other candidates. He's got a very strong caucus operation. I would say that the challenge for Senator Cruz moving forward, Martha, is that there are very few caucuses heading forward on the calendar, very few in April. So that will be his challenge then, to build on this momentum and sustain the narrative that this is now coming down to essentially a 2-man race.
Yeah. Let's go to Joe Trippi in Washington. Joe, we just heard from the spokesperson for Marco Rubio's campaign. In Maine, he did not even get to the level where he's going to walk away from Maine with any delegates. Your thoughts on Marco Rubio's campaign tonight?
Look, that's the real loser tonight is Marco. There's no other way to put it. I think this is, this could be lining up to be a 2-person race between Trump and Cruz. But Rubio's got to decide here, is he going to stay in Florida and fight it out with Cruz, which probably gives the state to Trump. And so there's just his path to getting there just seems to be really getting near, becoming a very bleak tunnel with no light in it right now.
Yeah.
I don't know how, although I do agree with Monica that the problem here is how do you get, how does Cruz get there with only a couple of caucus states left, and also the evangelical vote is also states where that's controls are also now in the rearview mirror as we move forward in the GOP process. So it's going to be very tough, and Kasich is still waiting in Ohio, I guess, because I don't see a path for him either.
Yeah. Doug, let's go to Doug Schoen for a moment here. Doug, when you look back at 2012 and you look at Santorum, he had a much broader set of wins. He went all the way through the South, had some nice wins there. Ted Cruz is still pretty thin in the win column. However, he is the only one, it appears at the moment, at least tonight, who has the argument to say, look, I am at least beating Donald Trump in some of these states.
Well, I think that's right. But I suspect by the end of the evening, my best guess is Donald Trump will win Kentucky, and I think he'll win Louisiana. So it'll be, in my best estimate, a split night. But, Martha, the big winner here is Hillary Clinton. Let's be clear. We got a presidential election in November, and if the Republican Party is deadlocked, and if John Kasich is right, and we will not have a nominee chosen before the convention, or it will be a contentious process before the convention, this is all playing in the hands of the Democrats and Secretary Clinton, and I'm sure wherever she is tonight, she is smiling.
Yeah. Ed Rollins, can you comment on that for us? Because Mitt Romney came out this week and said basically anybody but Trump. There's a lot of divisiveness.
There's a lot of divisiveness, and I think, and no disrespect to Senator Romney, who I have great respect for, but you can't walk away from everything. There's 3 big primaries next week. There's Idaho, Michigan, Mississippi, all proportional. You also have Hawaii, which most won't go to. But to say both he and Kasich are just going to go to Ohio or Florida and not play anywhere else, sooner or later, when it's Trump versus Cruz, there's a lot of people who don't want Trump who are going to go to Cruz. So it's not just an evangelical. It's going to be a lot of moderate conservative Republicans who are going to basically see him as the alternative to Trump. So I think he's going to do well. I think he'll win Idaho next week. He's there today. He'll be very competitive in Michigan and these other places. You know, my sense is, you know, that two of the 4 candidates are only playing one state politics, and they're not going to get very far after that.
All right. Thanks to you all.